Great. So as a reminder, everyone please mute yourself when others are speaking and rename yourself with the role you will be filling today. It looks like all of our roles have been filled. I'd like to welcome our guest, Joe. We are so grateful to have you here with us. And with that, I will turn it over to our Toastmaster of the Day and new member to the MetroMasters Club, Toastmaster Bill Moylan.
The most heard phrase in America, you are muted. Well, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. It's filled with pieces, and we have a variety of guests. And I officially am a guest today. Come May 1st, I'll be officially a transfer member to your MetroMasters. I'm looking forward to it. Let me turn the podium back to our club president, Jelena Verkler, who will be going through club business. Jelena.
Thanks. I don't have any personal club business, but I know Karen would like to share with us some information from the conference she attended. And you are also muted.
Bill, you jinxed me. I did just what you said. All right, I did attend the Toastmasters District 28 annual conference over the weekend. So on Friday night, there was the table topics contest. On Saturday, the international speech contest. Both were really enjoyable contests to watch. I heard a keynote speaker who was a regional advisor in Toastmasters, I think it was District 60. He gave a really good speech on conflict resolution, but after the speech, I did talk to him about our club, and he's going to send us a resource that he has helped put together. He and his club use, it's called Open House in a Box. So it's open house resources that they've put together that they reuse. I think that his club does an open house every quarter. So I'll be getting that resource, and we'll be sharing it amongst club members, and we can talk what we want to do on our next open house. I want to say that right now our membership officially stands at 7 with Bill. He'll be our new member on May 1st, so then we'll have our membership at 8 official club members. And I believe that wraps up my club business announcements for today. Back to you,
Thank you very much, Karen. And our first part of any meeting is our vocabulary. Please welcome our word master for the night, Valerie Milton, who will share with us the word of the day. Valerie.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Bill Moylan. The word of the day helps us to improve our vocabulary. The word for today is epiphany. Epiphany means a sudden realization or understanding of the essence or meaning of something. Here is epiphany used in a sentence. After hours of contemplation, he had an epiphany that completely changed his perspective on the problem. Each speaker should try to use the word of the day, and I will put this in the chat. I'm turning it back over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Well, thank you, Valerie. I had quite an epiphany today.
Oh.
I had the final electrical inspection on almost a year-long, actually it's been over a year-long project of renovating the family kitchen. And if anyone has been through this, you know what a tragedy it can be. And the company that did it for us was Epiphany Kitchens. How ironic. Let us move now into table topics. Our table topic master for the day is Dottie Hamilton. Dottie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Bill Moylan. I am going to have a grab bag today. I saw this done one time before. I thought it was so nice. I will do the same today. What we do is I will call a member and you have 1 to 2 minutes to do an extemporaneous, off the cuff, thinking on your feet, talk on the topic of what I grab out of this bag. And our guests are welcome also to participate. You can accept or pass. We would love for you to have a go at it. So first we're going to, I'm going to call Karen, Toastmaster Karen Baird. Reaching in, I have come up with this, oh gosh, oh, this ribbon.
Madam Table Topics Master, you might not know it to look at me, but I am a highly qualified and trained gift wrapper. Toastmasters Kimberly Baird knows what I'm talking about. In fact, Kimberly and I attended approximately 16 hours of gift wrap training through through Girl Scouts. When she was a Girl Scout and I was a leader, part of our fundraising activities was we set up a gift wrapping booth at the mall. But do you think they would just let us loose and gift wrap willy-nilly? No. We had a very specific process to follow for which we received training, hours upon hours of training. How to fold the paper, how to measure the box, how to tie that ribbon and attach that ribbon, how to select the gift tag, right? Everything down to the nitty gritty. Well, at the time, we thought it was very over the top. But you know, now that it's years later, how many times have we used those gift wrapping skills, Toastmaster Kimberly Baird? We appreciate it. We had an epiphany. All that training really paid off in the long run. So thank you, Girl Scouts, for giving us 16 hours of gift wrap training. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much. Now I have reached into the bag and Toastmaster of the Day, Bill Moreland, I have a pot holder. Toastmaster Moreland, a pot holder.
Thank you, Dottie. Fellow Toastmasters and our most welcome guests. Two of the things that men are very good at doing, sitting and watching, but maybe we could call it grilling. And when you face the grill, you better not screw up. And so the pot holders become critical for any family picnic barbecue. Another thing, when you reach that epiphany of how am I going to now please all these people, it's the pot holder not only grabs the pots and the pans and the flippers, but it's also the charcoal. It might be the wood embers and other things as well. Another interesting thing, the pot holder can help that male griller is not something that's hot, but something which is very cold. It could be that cold beverage that you better be able to properly insulate from other pieces. Lastly, one of the things that I remember from scouting that my sisters all made were those loomed pot holders. And when my family finally moved out of Detroit after 35 and a half years, and we came across quite the cachet of the loomed pot holders that my sisters had made, all 5 of them. So the pot holder, it's a man's great summer tool. Back to you, Madam Topic Master.
I have enjoyed the potholder experience. Now, Toastmaster Jelena Walker, would you please flashlight?
Thank you, Toastmaster Dottie. When I think of flashlights, I think back to my childhood. We used to play this game, and it was like hide and go seek, but it was in the dark. So you would all have flashlights and you would hide. And if you were caught with the flashlight on you, then you lost. And so I knew all the best hiding spaces. And we lived in a rural area, so we had our lay of the land. We had this wide open fields and trees to climb, and there were so many fun hiding spaces. And I was lucky enough to have a lot of kids in my neighborhood, so I had a lot of friends to play with. So when I think about flashlights, it brings me back to those childhood days and the really, really fun games that I would play with my neighbors. Thank you.
Ah, now I would love to hear Toastmaster Valerie expound upon the piggy bank.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Dottie. That piggy bank reminds me of my oldest daughter. She received a piggy bank from her grandfather when she was a little girl. And she kept that piggy bank for years and years. The little leg had broke off the piggy bank, and she still had it. Her grandfather died. She kept the piggy bank. I think she still has that piggy bank. She's now 27 years old, and she's still saving money in that piggy bank because it reminds her of her grandfather. So when I see that red piggy bank, it reminds me of the pink piggy bank that my 27-year-old daughter still has in her possession. Thank you.
Toastmaster, let's see, I have to do this right here so I can see more people. Toastmaster Kim, I have reached in and I have my charge card. There we go. Our charge card.
Thank you for the very interesting objects, Toastmaster Hamilton. When I see a credit card, the first thing that I think of is the fear and misunderstanding that I experienced as a child about what a credit card was. I grew up thinking that credit cards were very, very bad. You should not use them, you should not have them. They're bad. Why they were bad, I don't know. I just knew they were bad. What was the difference between a credit card and a debit card? I couldn't have told you, other than don't use a credit card because it's very bad. Now that I'm older and an adult, I have multiple credit cards, and I know that they are not the boogeyman of your finances if used responsibly. However, I do appreciate my mother's foresight in that at the age that I was, when she told me they were bad, I was very impulsive, and they would have been terrible for me to have at that time. However, after taking a financial literacy class and learning that if you use a credit card responsibly, it's actually really, really good. You can get free perks, great stuff, helps build your credit. You can get a house, car, whatever, low interest rates. I now know that credit cards are not the root of all evil if used responsibly. Thank you.
We are having such a wonderful time looking into this grab bag and getting all of these interesting table topics. Now, here we go. Distinguished Toastmaster, may I please the eyeglass case?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, Honorable Toastmasters. When I think of a eyeglass case, it takes me back to the first grade. And I was told by the doctor that I had to wear glasses. It was devastating to me because I was trying to be cute. I wanted to be cute. I wanted to be liked by the boys, and it seemed like wearing eyeglasses was not gonna work, gonna get it. So it seemed like when I took them off, I was cute. When I put them on, I just looked terrible. So I remember during that phase of my life, I would take them to school and hide them and put them in my pocket, and I wouldn't wear them. And come to find out that um, my mother had some cat eye glasses, and those were like so awesome looking. Ever since I saw my mother with these cat eye glasses, I just said, I gotta have some cat eye glasses. This is just gonna make me look so sophisticated. So ever since then, I look at eyeglasses in a whole different way when I look at cat eye glasses. To this day, I love the thought of cat eye glasses. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Madam.
Thank you so much. I've had such an epiphany of the fact that you all are so sharp. I can't trick you with this grab bag. Now we have some guests, and I'd like to invite them to participate in this fun activity, Table Topics. We have John Hillman and we have Cheryl. This is no pressure, but would you like to participate in our fun Table Topics discussion?
And my name's Joe Hillman, and I would love to participate. It sounds fun.
Thank you, Joe. All right, let me reach in here. I have a pocket knife. All right, Joe.
Okay, so anytime you're walking around a dangerous area or you need to skin your beaver from your hunting excursion you were on, you want to take out your pocket knife. And be careful when you open the pocket knife, because if you open it the wrong way, you could cut your hand easily with it. And I had the epiphany once when I was doing that, where you tried to open it, and if you open the wrong side and grab the knife handle, you're going to cut yourself. I would recommend not doing that. Always grab the handle of the pocket knife whenever you have a pocket knife. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Cheryl, would you love to participate with us today or not?
I was trying to save my voice for my speech, but I can do a table topics, absolutely.
Oh, all right. Shoehorn. Here we have a shoehorn.
Madam Table Topics Master Dottie Hamilton, where in the world did you get a shoehorn from? I haven't seen a shoehorn in a month of Sundays. However, I'm sure I could use one. The idea of a shoehorn is, and I don't know who thought of it or why, but for me to fit a too big foot into a too small shoe is the object of a shoehorn. Now, I must confess, I do have a shoehorn. I have a particular penchant for shoes that come way up on my instep, and I can't get my foot in it without using a shoehorn. I do not use those. I don't wear those shoes that often. They were cute when I bought them, like our speaker referenced earlier about her cat eye glasses. I liked them when I bought the shoes, but getting home and realizing that with age and water consumption and feet that swell, a shoehorn can be sometimes a girl's best friend. So, Madam Table Topics Master, I'm sure if that was the last item in your box, I'll be the last one to speak on a shoehorn this evening. I will turn it back over to you.
I just enjoyed the epiphany of the fact that once you got started, your voice really, really became strong. It's going to be all right, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And Shirley, I see that you have joined us. Maybe she dropped off. Do you still see her, Shirley? Oh, there she is, Shirley. Okay, I've reached in and I have for you lip balm. Lip balm. That's our table topics for you, darling. It says your bandwidth is low, and I'm sure you really wanted to participate in this fun grab bag table topics, but we cannot hear you. So I turn it back over to Toastmaster of the Day, Bill Moore.
Thank you very much. Excellent job of a grab bag on table topics. Our first speaker tonight is Cheryl Johnson Frambro. Toastmaster Cheryl is a gifted communicator. As a member of Blue Cross Blue Shield's Communications Department, she brings a multitude of experience implementing new projects. Just as a business project can get off track, we too can get off course in reaching our personal goals. Today, Cheryl's joining us with a 5 to 7 minute presentation about avoiding obstacles and motivating ourselves to stay on track, to ride the horse to the finish line. Her speech on the epiphany of personal challenges is entitled, Cheryl, Stop Clucking, Lay an Egg. Cheryl, Stop Clucking, Lay an Egg. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Cheryl Johnson Frambro.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Master Toastmaster and MetroMasters Toastmasters. I appreciate this opportunity. And I'll get right to my speech that I have loved, proverbs, witty sayings, quotes, since I was a small child. Probably because I heard that my great-grandfather, who was a businessman, an entrepreneur during the 30s and 40s, one of his most famous sayings was, a short pencil beats a long memory. A short pencil beats a long memory, Granddad would say. And I envision he may have been speaking to my dad in order to avoid making business mistakes. Proverbs is not just a book in the Bible, but as a noun, Webster says that Proverbs are short, popular sayings, usually of unknown and ancient origin. They express effectively some commonplace truths or useful thoughts. So Proverbs as a noun, they are of unknown origin and ancient thoughts. Now, Mr. Toastmaster, honored guests, fellow Toastmasters, you are going to hear my made-up proverb for tonight. Are you ready? My made-up proverb is, Cheryl, stop clucking, lay an egg. As a kid, we would visit my family. My parents would take us down to Georgia to visit my mother's family farm. And when I say Georgia and family farm, I mean literal back hills, red clay, back in the 60s and 70s, which was complete culture shock for us city kids. We had to pump our own water from the well. There was an outhouse. I will not even begin to discuss the chamber pot. But what I do remember as a kid were the chickens and the hens. Obviously, we would see them frozen wrapped in the grocery store, but here they were live and in color, clucking, cackling, causing a commotion, busy, busy, busy in the back of the house. It wasn't really a backyard because they had a whole farm, but the back of the house. And so it was a commotion because we kids were trying to share the same space that the chickens were in. So clucking, cackling, causing a commotion, busy, busy, busy chickens and little chicks, until a switch. Something would change with the chickens where all of a sudden they weren't busy, 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 clucking, cackling, and causing a commotion any longer. But they would move into the hen house. And the sounds that had previously been annoying in the way were now sounds of production. Now, I can't make the sounds of what laying eggs sounds like. However, there is a sound that egg laying makes, and it was different than the clucking, cackling, and commotion that they were making when we were trying to play. Now, I don't know what it was that caused the switch from busy, 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 cackling, clucking, and causing a commotion to being productive. Hormones, length of the daylight hours from short to long, I don't know, but there was a switch. Those of us from the Detroit metro area back in the 80s, if you remember, the Detroit Zoo had a commercial with their animals, and the animals were the actors. And the acting animals would have lines as if they were on stage. For example, my makeup, give me my makeup, or where are my lines? What are my lines? The one that stood out for me was, and I don't know what the animal was, but his line was, and it was his voice probably that got me. His line was, what's my motivation? What's my motivation? What is your motivation? I will admit I am a procrastinator. Yes, I said it. I'm a procrastinator. I will be retiring from Blue Cross shortly too. But when I, yay, when I hear Cheryl clucking, cackling, causing a commotion, I have to stop and say, Cheryl, stop clucking, lay an egg. Now I realize that the second part of that statement, lay an egg, is probably what causes us the most turmoil, the most challenge. Laying an egg is not something that I would advise, especially with public speaking. Who wants to lay an egg in front of your friends, your peers, your coworkers, or people that you just don't even know? It's not suggested, but I will admit that the outward expression, the external expression of clucking, cackling, and causing a commotion, busy, 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 may also be an indicator of an internal energy that's striving to be released, an egg that might be trying to be laid. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if I'm the greatest motivator in the world. However, I will say that my Toastmasters experience was one that I could not have made up. I was newly divorced, unmarried, and unhoused when I saw an ad in a Lansing newspaper for a Breakfast Club Toastmasters meeting. What the heck? I went. And when I got into that conference room and was met with friendly faces, all the encouragement that I could ever ask for, and even helping me with interviewing skills, which was the purpose of it being a breakfast club, so that when they dismissed at 9 o'clock, you could start your job search. So that when I was hired by Blue Cross and during HR orientation, I looked and there was a sign-up sheet for Toastmasters at Blue Cross, our Skill Masters Club. I signed up during HR orientation as a new employee as a means of paying back and the gratitude that I felt for becoming a Toastmaster. Mr. Toastmaster, let me leave the club with this last quote. If you are afraid to fail, you've already reached your highest level of achievement. Go lay an egg, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Cheryl. Quite an epiphany speech for us tonight. Our second speaker is Distinguished Toastmaster Karen Barrett. Karen's presentation is from the Presentation Mastery Path, Level 2, Understanding Your Communication Style. Now, whether we're having a one-on-one conversation or presenting to an audience, our goal is always to be most effective in our communications. As Toastmasters, we learn about communication styles, our own and others. We learn how to adjust our style to the audience and occasion. Today, Toastmaster Karen Baird will present her findings as she researched her own communication style. Timer, please allow 5 to 7 minutes as she presents her speech titled Mr. Spock or the Costanzas. Mr. Spock or the Costanzas, please welcome Toastmaster Karen. Come on. Karen, you need to unmute yourself. If you could start over.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, are you aware that Cosmopolitan magazine every month has a quiz? Well, they very famously had a quiz of who are you like? Are you a Miranda, a Charlotte, a Samantha, or a Carrie? And if you're not familiar, those are the characters from the TV show Sex in the City. They each had their own special personality types. Well, as it turns out, Toastmasters has its own quiz. And it's also, much like the Cosmo quiz, based on your personality. But this quiz is what communication style are you most aligned with? And of course, we aren't trying to pigeonhole you into a TV character. We're trying to help you to understand what is your natural communication style, because we all have one based on our traits and our personalities. And when we understand our natural communication style, it helps us to be better communicators, and it helps us to understand how others perceive us in that communication style. And once we have that knowledge, then we can make adjustments based on our audience or on the occasion that we're speaking. Now, of course, I'm the kind of person that I don't need no stinking quiz to tell me what I'm like. So I immediately said to myself, okay, I already know that, or I should say, I already think that my natural communication tendency is to be direct and more data-driven. So being more direct and data-driven, I'm not so much like a Sex in the City character. I'm more like, say, Mr. Spock from Star Trek. But then again, my own children have told me, no, 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 no. I am actually more extroverted and emotional. Much like the TV characters from Seinfeld, the Costanzas. Well, rather than belabor this in my own mind, I said, okay, let me take the Toastmaster assessment. So the Toastmaster assessment asks you a series of questions, and they're ranking you on this scale. Highs and lows. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? And also, are you a person who's more into people and relationships, or are you more into facts and data? So of course, I thought to myself, well, obviously, I'm going to fall into that quadrant where it says analytical. No, I was there in the quadrant of direct. I'm more of a direct communicator, which kind of lines up with my kids saying I have more of an extrovert bent in my personality, even though I thought I was more analytical. So let me just cover what it is that are those pluses and minuses in those different quadrants, so that we can look at, what are the things that are the strengths and maybe the drawbacks of being in those quadrants, because there's no right or wrong one to be, but we should try to understand how we communicate and how we might be perceived by others. So just to lightly cover that left side, because that side doesn't apply to me. initiating. Those are people who are what I would think of as the life of the party. People who are very social, they're out there, they're making noise, they're getting attention, and other people might look at that and say, oh, they're kind of, look at me, attention getting. So if you were of that type of personality and that type of communication style, you might want to consider that, how you're perceived. And supportive. If you're a supportive person, you're very calm, steady, you're a good listener, you're somebody who's there to be in a good supportive role. But it doesn't seem that you're very initiating, and other people might look at you as kind of a low energy person, more of someone to help, but not somebody to really take action. So keep that in mind as you're communicating. As for me, I'm over on the other side of the quadrants there, over there on the right-hand side. According to Toastmasters, I'm direct, which means I'm decisive. I'm the type A person. I'm independent. I'm confident. And some people might even say I'm demanding and impatient. Can you believe that? So I would have to take that into consideration. And in a moment, I'll tell you how I take that into consideration. There's the analytical side of me, which is precise. I don't want to read it all to you. You can read. But the thing that is the problem with being analytical is that you might be looked at as being kind of, let's say, like a cold fish, somebody who's just all about the numbers and doesn't care about people. That's not how I feel, but it could be how I'm perceived if I communicate in that analytical style. Now, honestly, I feel that Toastmasters, I appreciate this quadrant. It's a good analysis, and hey, I'm analytical, but I do feel that I am more of a centrist. I really try very much to seek balance, to always seek balance. I don't want to be seen as too harsh or too emotional or too anything. I really strive for that central focus. And I know that by seeking that center point, it's not that I'm trying to please everyone, because that will never happen. But what I'm trying to do is communicate in a way that all people will understand and be able to relate. How do I balance my style? With the knowledge that I am direct and a tendency towards analytical. First of all, I realize that this is my strength, and my communications are basically built on that strength. So there's no reason to shy away from it. Use it to its best advantage, but don't let it overwhelm. I need to add some stories and warmth to my communication in order to make it more persuasive and more compelling to people. So when I'm giving this information, I want to make people feel included and invited in. Another aspect is the use of humor and reflecting feelings, because I always want people to be interested and wondering, what's she going to say next? Is she going to throw in a little joke? And reflecting their feelings shows that I understand what you're saying. I hear you, and I reflect back to you that based on your face or based on your reaction, I see that you're feeling this or feeling that. I always want to come to that center point. And just in case you're wondering, I did take the Sex in the City character quiz. And do you know what the results were? I took it 3 times from 3 different websites. The first time it said I was just like Carrie. The second time, just like Samantha. And the third time it said it was a 50-50 split between Charlotte and Miranda. So you know what? At least according to Cosmo, I have met that balance. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Karen. I never took the Cosmo quiz, But if I did, I know that what characters I would be a blend of. Radar O'Reilly and Mr. Spock. Let's now move into our evaluation portion. Our general evaluator is Artemis Ma'at, Distinguished Toastmaster. Artemis, please introduce your team. Artemis, I think you might be on mute.
There we go. Oh, apologies there. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Like to explain to for the guests just a little bit about the GE. It's General Evaluator, or GE, has two major responsibilities. That is to coordinate the evaluation team and to evaluate the overall meeting at the end of the meeting. The GE has helpers, the counter grammarian, timekeeper, and the evaluators, of course, who give you just immediate feedback. The evaluation segment is one of the three main pillars of the Toastmasters meeting. And this is where you find out what was done well in a speech, and perhaps you could take some areas that will help you improve. They'll tell you what you can improve on. It's uplifting and constructive. So I will start with our first evaluator. Oh, forgive me. Madam Timer. The allotted time for evaluations is 2 to 3 minutes. Could you please explain the timing rules for the evaluators?
Yes, so your time is 2 to 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, I will light up green. At 2:30, I will light up yellow, and at 3, I will light up red. And then you will have a 30-second grace period.
Well, thank you, Madam Timer. I will start with our first evaluator, and that would be Toastmaster Baird. Toastmaster Baird will be evaluating our first speaker, Toastmaster Baird.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So fellow Toastmasters, as you know, the purpose of the evaluation is to inspire and help the person know what they did well and how they can get to the next level. And so today I'm focusing on Cheryl's speech. Cheryl, stop clucking and lay an egg. What a great title. I found your speech to be so incredibly relatable because my aunt also had a farm and it also had chickens. Our job was to feed the chickens after every meal. Every scrap went out to the chicken yard. And I know that cacophony that you're talking about. And I noted that you used alliteration where all the words start with the same letter: clucking, cackling, causing commotion. That's a nice way to get people's attention. It's almost like poetry. I liked how you used words for emphasis, and I liked how you used words also to paint a picture. You gave us a lot of visual, a lot of memories for anybody who's used an outhouse or a chamber pot. Oh yes, we remember those things. That's unforgettable. So when you gave us all those things, you drew us right into your story. And then you related it, not just as a fun memory story, but as how we can make a life application out of that. That's not always easy to do, to turn it from a story to an application. But I do think you did that well when you explained how we need to stop procrastinating and focus on making that achievement. And you even gave us the example of how you did that when you joined Toastmasters. So overall, very nice structure, good storytelling, and engaging. If I was to give you something that would up your speech to another level, And believe me, I had to do some digging to come up with something because I thought it was really good on the overall. I would say there are two things that you could do. Number one would be to up your energy level. I would say that your affect and your energy level was somewhere between even, I would say kind of even and low, somewhere in a very narrow bandwidth. So to engage the audience more, a little more energy level highs and lows to pull us in. The second thing is, at some point in the speech, I don't exactly remember where, I heard an apology. And I always say speakers should never apologize for any part of your speech. If it was ill-prepared or ill-timed, no matter what it is, you're here for our benefit. So don't apologize. You have no need to apologize. You had a wonderful speech. So I don't remember why you apologized, but if you can keep your energy level up, don't apologize, and keep going forward with that wonderful, visually enticing speech. You did a great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baird. At this time, I'd like to introduce our second evaluator, Toastmaster Verkler, who will be evaluating the second speaker, Toastmaster Baird.
Thank you. So Karen, as always, you opened the speech on a high note. You got us all engaged. You brought us back to those Cosmo quizzes back in the day. I think a lot of us can relate to that. So good audience awareness. And we might have wondered where you were going with this, but you tied it in immediately. It was an analogy to the Toastmasters quiz of who we are. I'm sorry. I loved that you made the distinction between who we are and how we are perceived with that example of Mr. Spock and the Costanzas. I think you engaged humor there when you said, my children might see me differently. But I think that's a very important point to make, because even in my own work life, I have had challenges of people communicating in a different way to me that I was not responsive to, or maybe didn't really know how to get that sort of connection. So I think it's important that we all are aware of how we are coming across versus how we intend to. I love that you engage humor. I love that you talked about using your strengths to your advantage, but you also know what you need to do to not be too overpowering. You add stories and warmth. You are persuasive and compelling. And what I really love about your speeches is that you always seem to incorporate the talking points into your speech. So you say, you should do this, and then you do it, which I think is amazing example. I loved that you, in your presentation, you had the visuals today. You really blew us away. Sometimes when you use technology, it doesn't always go as planned, but I loved that you had the diagram that really helped us see everything. You had those GIF emojis, which I thought was a really nice touch. And I love that you had a very conversational tone. We felt very comfortable with you. You felt comfortable with us. You didn't use any filler words. Your voice was very clear. You had good vocal variety. One thing with the gestures is I think you did a good job of balancing where you were on the screen, but I couldn't see all of the gestures that you were making. Another thing is that you did go a little over time, which we always want to be conscious of in Toastmasters, and just to make sure that you unmute yourself before you talk, which I think we've all had a little bit of trouble with today. But overall, I feel like your speeches are so well-rounded. I really come away feeling like I'm taking something from it. So I really appreciate all of the speeches that you give here. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Verkler. Everybody's just so professional. This time, I would like to ask for the counter grammarians report.
Hello, thank you so much, Toastmaster Artemis Mayat. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to what everyone is saying and their language use. So I made note of any misuses of the English language. Spoiler alert, did not hear any. And I also made note of any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. So I will get into my report. The purpose of noting this is it's not a competition. It is not to make anybody feel bad. It is solely for the purpose of our own personal development journey. That being said, Karen, Toastmaster Karen Baird, you had 5 instances of filler words, and there was a few instances in which you repeated a word a few times rather than pausing or losing your place. Although I will say that that is uncharacteristic for you. Toastmaster Jelena Berkler, you had 1, 2, 3. Hold on, let me do this again. 7 instances of ums and ahs, also uncharacteristic for you. Toastmaster Bill Moylan, you had 1 Toastmaster Dottie Hamilton, you had nothing. Good job. Toastmaster Artemis Mayat, you had 3 ums. Toastmaster Valerie, you had 1 Toastmaster Cheryl, I did not get anything for you. Amazing. Great job. And prospective Toastmaster and guest, Joe, I did not hear any ums or ahs from you. Fabulous work on your first meeting. Now we will move on to word of the day use. Someone used the word of the day 5 times. And that was Toastmaster Bill Moyling. Good job. Toastmaster Dottie Hamilton also used the word of the day 2 times. Good job. Toastmaster Karen used the word of the day once, and our guest, Joe, also used the word of the day. So you are on a hot streak, Joe. Wonderful work. This concludes my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baird Cooley. May I please have the timers report?
You certainly can. So first off, we had our extemporaneous speaking, our table topics, which was so interesting today with the grab bag idea. I love that, Dottie. You're always bringing something new to the table topic. Karen, we talked about ribbons for 1 minute and 39 seconds and is now an expert rapper. Bill taught us about the importance of pot holders for 1 minute and 37 seconds. I reminisced about my days with a flashlight for 60 seconds. Valerie talked about her daughter's piggy bank for 50 seconds. Kim let us know her history with credit cards in 1 minute and 27 seconds. Artemis talked to us about the first time she got glasses in 1 minute and 34 seconds. Joe shared how to safely use a pocket knife in 39 seconds. And Cheryl got the shoehorn of all things and talked for 1 minute and 22 seconds. For our speeches, Cheryl's "Stop Clucking, Lay an Egg" was delivered in 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And Karen's speech on her communication styles was 8 minutes and 40 seconds. For the evaluation portion, Karen spoke for 3 minutes and 26 seconds, and I spoke for 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And that concludes the timers report.
Thank you, Madam Timer. In furtherance, I would like to take this opportunity to give my overall report of how the meeting went, in my humble opinion. The club website is always professional and informative, and it's the members' pictures when I go on the site are just very impressive. Everyone rename themselves with their roles. I see the president opened the meeting with a welcome and a recital of the mission statement. The word of the day was easy to use, epiphany, sudden enlightenment. And several people, Toastmaster Moylan, Toastmaster Hamilton, and our guest, Joe, used the word of the day. I commend the teamwork and everyone for making this meeting a success ahead of time, such as the pre-preparation, the phone calls, the roles were confirmed. I see the titles and the speech files were all in the agenda. Very impressive. The meeting did start on time. Toastmaster was top notch. Toastmaster Moylan was top notch professional and a great motivator with smooth transitions and organization. I liked that. We had the privilege and pleasure of hearing about each speaker's bios. He read it to us. The speakers, they gave enlightening, thought-provoking presentations, and I learned something, and that's what I'm looking for. The table topics were creative, insightful, and appropriate, really creative and above and beyond. The guests, what I like too, the guests were invited to participate. The evaluators gave constructive, upbeat, and helpful advice. Everyone explained their role. The audience was attentive and enthusiastic, and the guests were acknowledged. Only thing I can say about elevating the meeting to a next level is perhaps to don't forget to explain the timing rules at each pillar. There are 3 pillars for the table topics, for the speakers, and for the evaluators. Overall, the meeting was exceptional and ran smoothly. I return control of this meeting to our wonderful, wonderful, fabulous Toastmaster of the Day, Bill Moreland.
Thank you, Artemis. I hope everyone enjoyed tonight. I do appreciate Karen sending out the agenda, which I could append. A trick is, even though it comes as a PDF, open it in Word because it's a whole lot easier to edit in that. Just a trick. And then you can actually just move it over in front of your screen. So you thought, how could he remember that? Well, it's kind of a pop-up for me. Some of the tricks of the trade on Zoom. Let's now turn our meeting back over for the comments and questions to our president, Jelena Virkler. Janetta.
Thank you. Let's hear it for our Toastmaster of the day. Great job. I don't have any specific comments. Would we like to volunteer for roles for our next meeting? Okay, anyone?
You know, I love doing an evaluation. Can I do an evaluation next time?
Yeah, Karen will do an evaluation.
I'd like to speak kind of like, let's call it, it's not going to quite be the icebreaker speech, but it'll be an introduction of myself to the club. It'll be from Pathways. So I'll give a 5 to 7 minute speech.
Okay, so you will be the second speaker. We already have a first speaker. Is that correct, Karen?
Yes, our next week, or I'm sorry, the next meeting, we'll have a guest speaker. Her name is Regina Banks Hall. Bill, you may remember her from the TLI back in January.
Yes.
So she will be our guest speaker. So that will be 2 speakers. So we still have room for a 3rd speaker if we have somebody else who would like to speak.
I'd like to give a speech.
All right.
Okay, well, I can do an evaluation for someone.
Great. Does anyone want to do table topics? Valerie. Okay, we also need a timer.
I can do timer as well.
Okay. Does anyone else want to volunteer, or we just fill these later?
Word of the day.
Dottie, word of the day, a classic.
I wonder if Shirley will be attending our next meeting and if she'd like to have a role. Not sure. Okay.
So we need a Toastmaster of the day, we need an awe counter, we need another evaluator and a general evaluator.
I could be Toastmaster of the day.
Great, thank you, Artemis. Okay. Karen, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I would like to ask our guest what his thoughts were about this meeting and hear his input.
I enjoyed this. It's almost like a game because that's kind of how I view it. It's a game where you can learn from other people and learn about yourself. I'm here to work on my public speaking so I can present better, and I definitely do want to attend in the future and look to join once I learn the rules a little bit more because I hear you all referring to each other as Toastmasters with designated roles, and that takes me back to college when playing some other type of game. So this is gonna be fun for me. So I will be back.
Can you put your contact information into the chat?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have any questions now, we're all here. We're happy to answer.
I don't think I have any questions right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen. What contact information do you need?
Name, cell number, email.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to point out that we have a long stretch because of the way the calendar falls. We've got 3 weeks between meetings. So our next meeting isn't until May 14th. So everybody, you have a little extra week in there. So speakers, you have an extra week to prepare. I will be sending an evaluation to you by email, Cheryl. If you have an evaluation form that you want me to fill out, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I'll send you a general evaluation.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
All right.
And thank you for the invitation. It's been a while since I've spoken outside of the club, so this was kind of took me back, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet everyone that was here this evening. When I saw Bill Moylan as the Toastmaster of the day, I was like, wait a minute, I need to practice a little more, but I think I did okay. So thank you for the invitation.
Cheryl, what were your observations? You haven't been to our meeting, I don't think, and I can't remember if you've been to one of our meetings before.
I don't think so. And my only observation is really the difference between corporate and community. Our meetings they are an hour, well, actually 50 minutes. We don't, do things in a slightly different order so that where you did table topics first, we do table topics after the speeches are given. And then, but the review process, and that I think speaks to what Joe was identifying as how things are sequenced and how they're addressed, the order of events, which is important in any leadership role. We need to have a form of substance as to how the order should run so that people are not caught unaware of something being out of order. So that is, it's particularly pertinent to Toastmasters, not just public speaking, it's leadership development. And so again, very efficiently run meeting this evening. I appreciate, if we have our executive board meeting tomorrow, I was telling you, so I'm going to go back and say, they run their meetings like this, and I think it's cool. But again, it's the difference between corporate, I think, and community clubs. So
Thank you. I also want to open up the floor to comments from the members in general, because our last meeting that we had was an open house meeting. And I want to ask people if they had any feedback, if you had any thoughts or ideas based on what we did. What did you think of our open house? And for a lot of you, it's the first time you've been to an open house meeting. So I just want to open it up for comments. Do we have any comments from the members? All right.
I would like to say that I was proud of the way our open house went. We had a lot of guests and we were able to let them feel that they were welcome. We had someone that did participate in the table topics. We had people that felt comfortable about asking questions. So I had a good feeling when we ended up our meeting, thinking that it went well.
Very good. One of the things that when I was at the conference on Saturday, they talked about one of the things that we need to do, not just we in particular, but all Toastmasters clubs need to do, is to make sure that the meetings are fun and interesting. That if you have exactly the same meeting every time, then it becomes like a blasé program. And so that's something that I thought I'd just throw out here amongst ourselves, that we might want to think of. I know Artemis has brought it up in the past, have themed meetings, or change up, do things, change it up, make it a little different, make it more fun. I really liked, Dottie, how you did the grab bag table topic. That made it a little different. So we always need to be open to ideas on what we can do to make this the best club. I feel that we have an excellent club. Even though we are official number of members, not when Bill transfers his membership over, we'll have 8 members. Even though we have 8 members, other clubs are in the same boat. But I think our club has a real energy to it. We have an excitement to us. We're here to grow and learn. Everybody's participating. So I feel good about that. But we always want to look at how we can continue to improve and take it on to the next level. Those are my comments.
All right, anything else? Okay, our next meeting will be Tuesday, May 14th. I hope to see you all there. I will be sending out a calendar invite with the link shortly after this. Joe, thank you so much for coming. Cheryl, thank you so much for sharing your speech with us. We really appreciate that. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting and wish you all a pleasant rest of your evening. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.